The gathering of the finest. The dominion of KRF had ruled unchallenged for millennia. Across 5 spiral arms of the galaxy, their banners hung above conquered worlds, and their fleets blotted out the suns of defiant systems. To them, war was a ritual more than a necessity, for no foe had stood long against their legions. And yet, in one forgotten corner of the Orion Spur, a species of primates had become a thorn. Humans. The name was spoken in the High Council chamber with disgust. Reports had trickled in over decades. Raids against Dominion patrols, sabotage of supply lines, colonies incinerated. A primitive people, barely unified, had dared to resist the KRF. The Council would not abide such humiliation. Lord Chancellor Vizzy, robed in obsidian silk, addressed the chamber. We have crushed empires older than their sun. Yet these creatures, frail in body and short of life, refuse to kneel. Our legions grow weary of their ambushes. Their insolence must end. For this task, we shall send not armies, but our finest. A ripple of approval stirred the chamber. To deploy the finest was more than strategy. It was spectacle. Across the Dominion, the champions of war, individuals who embodied perfection of their disciplines, were summoned. The first to arrive was General Varric, a towering reptilian with scaled skin that shimmered like burnished bronze. His campaigns had reduced 3 civilizations to rubble. Tacticians called him the mind of war. Varric entered the chamber in silence, but his presence pressed like gravity. Then came Shiratel, a psionic shadow wrapped in silvered veils. She had assassinated kings without ever touching a blade. To her, minds were glass, and she delighted in shattering them. The chamber fell silent as her obsidian eyes swept the room, brushing against thoughts like knives. HFY, Beast Lord of the Warworld Druzith, followed. Muscled like a living fortress, he commanded entire menageries of engineered predators. Wherever his beasts roamed, ecosystems withered. He carried the stench of blood even into the Council's perfumed air. Finally, Kator, the armored juggernaut, strode in. More machine than flesh, his body was sheathed in black carapace and powered servos. He was the embodiment of brutality, a living siege engine. The 4 stood before the Council, arrogant in their certainty. Vizzy's voice rang clear. You are the spear that will pierce humanity's heart. You will land upon their homeworld, Earth, and demonstrate the futility of defiance. Do not return until their species bends. Varric bowed his scaled head. They will not resist long. Reports say they cling to crude weapons and fractured governments. It will be swift. Shiratel's lips curved in a faint smile. I wish to taste their thoughts. Such primitive fire, snuffed with a whisper. Only XYR growled. Beasts fight most fiercely when cornered. Let them corner themselves, and I will release my packs. Kator said nothing. He had never needed to. The Council chambers shook with approval. The plan was simple. Deploy the finest to shatter human defenses, then occupy Earth as a lesson to the galaxy. Even the most defiant would cower when they saw Kareth's greatest reduce humanity to ash. Yet not all were convinced. Elder Maresh, voice thin with age, dared raise objection. We underestimate them at peril. These humans bleed us already, though we have not even faced their full strength. They adapt, quickly. His words were met with derision. Old fear, Varric muttered. I have crushed foes with 1,000 times their might. But Maresh's eyes burned with quiet certainty. Might is not all. Their strength lies elsewhere. No one listened. Preparations commenced at once. Fleets of black warships assembled in orbit, their hulls gleaming like predatory eyes. Inside, alien champions sharpened blades, honed beasts, and tested psionic amplifiers. Broadcasts of human resistance, soldiers fighting in muddy trenches, civilians throwing firebombs, were studded with contempt. They fight like animals, Shiratel whispered, peering at a recording. There is no discipline, only chaos. And chaos breaks, Varric declared. From the surface of Kaeretha's capital world, billions watched as the fleet departed. The sky lit with the burn of engines, and songs of conquest filled the airwaves. Children were told, this is how empires endure. This is how rebels fall. Only the elder Maresh remained silent, staring at the stars where the fleet vanished. His voice trembled as he whispered words no one else heard. They do not yet understand what waits on that death world. And so the Dominion's finest, champions without equal, set course for Earth, confident that within weeks the name human would be erased from the stars. But history would remember it differently. Contact and first losses. The Dominion fleet descended on Earth like a storm of iron. Hundreds of warships pierced the atmosphere, their hulls trailing fire across the skies. Cities trembled as shockwaves rattled windows and sent civilians fleeing underground. To the people of Earth, the long-expected invasion had finally come. To the KRF Dominion, this was merely the beginning of another conquest. General Varric commanded the spearhead. From the bridge of his dreadnought, he watched the blue planet rotate below. Its oceans glittered like jewels, its continents swathed in green and gray. A fragile world, he muttered. Soon it will kneel. The fleet split into strike groups. Varric's armies dropped toward New York, Shiratel toward the Siberian expanse, HFY into the Sahara, and Kator into the Pacific strongholds. Each champion sought to demonstrate mastery in their chosen theater. The Council had promised the galaxy a swift victory. The first landings went uncontested. Dominion troops fanned into the streets of New York, their energy weapons carving through abandoned cars. Yet resistance arrived faster than expected. From subway tunnels, rooftops, and shattered windows, humans struck back. At first, Varric laughed. Pitiful. Farmers with rifles. But his amusement vanished as the battle stretched into hours. Human fire teams did not fight as one army. They fought as countless, scattered cells. They vanished into shadows, struck supply lines, planted explosives beneath Dominion armor. Every street corner was a trap. By nightfall, Varric had lost 3 platoons. His tactical mind adapted, but so did the humans. He ordered drones to scout alleyways. The humans blinded them with hacked signals. He ordered heavy armor forward. They lured it onto bridges rigged with charges. It was war by strangulation, death in fragments. Across the planet, the other champions met similar surprises. In the frozen wastes of Siberia, Shiratel extended her mind into human defenses. She expected weak wills, easily bent. Instead, she met walls of noise, laughter, rage, irony. The humans mocked even in thought, their minds riddled with strange contradictions. Some welcomed her probing only to trap her within endless spirals of song, memory, and pain. She recoiled, unnerved. They are not orderly, she hissed to her attendants. They are wild. In the Sahara, HFY unleashed his beasts. Fanged predators, armored like tanks, thundered across the dunes. But humans turned the desert itself against him. They led the creatures into minefields, scorched them with firebombs, and harried them with sniper fire. Entire packs were buried beneath collapsing sand traps dug in advance. For every beast slain, the humans salvaged teeth, hide, or claws, turning trophies into weapons. HFY roared his frustration into the winds. Kator fared no better. The Juggernaut stormed into fortified bunkers along the Pacific Rim. His armored body crushed defenses, but the humans refused to retreat. They fought in choking corridors, detonated charges at close range, and dragged him into kill zones with sheer determination. When he cleaved through one bunker, he found only corpses and a wall painted in blood. Welcome to Earth. By the second day, the Dominion's confidence faltered. Each champion reported unexpected casualties. None admitted defeat, but unease spread through the ranks. The humans were not fighting to win battles. They were fighting to bleed time. Varric demanded answers. He gathered the other champions via HoloLink, their faces flickering in the gloom of his war room. We overwhelmed them in technology, in firepower, in experience. Yet every step costs us. Why? Shiratel's voice was thin. Their minds are not like ours. They thrive in chaos. They twist pain into resolve. They laugh in the face of despair. HFY slammed his fist on the console, then crushed them harder, break their bones, burn their nests. But Kator, usually silent, rumbled low. Beasts fight fiercest when the den is threatened. We have walked into the heart of theirs. The meeting ended in silence. On the ground, alien soldiers whispered of strange encounters, humans charging Dominion lines with no fear, civilians armed with little more than knives holding off trained troops, wounded fighters detonating themselves rather than surrender. Such acts were madness to Kereth's sensibilities. To humans, it was resolve. By the end of the week, the Dominion's swift victory had already cost more lives than entire previous conquests. Ships returned to orbit for emergency repairs. Casualty reports mounted. Worst of all, rumors spread through the fleets. No champion had yet delivered a decisive blow. From the shadows of New York's ruins, a human commander sent out a broadcast, hijacking Dominion channels. His voice was weary, ragged, but filled with grim pride. You thought us weak. You thought us easy prey. This is Earth. We don't break. We don't kneel. Come and see. For the first time in millennia, the Dominion's finest felt something they had forgotten existed. Doubt. The vanishing armies. The Dominion of Kereth had prepared for war on scales that dwarfed entire civilizations. Their fleets carried battalions capable of erasing continents. Their champions were legends, their weapons unmatched. Yet by the second month on Earth, the great invasion no longer looked like conquest. It looked like erosion. General Varick stared at the casualty reports in disbelief. Entire units had vanished without a trace. One battalion, deployed in the jungles of South America, sent a single transmission: ambush, surrounded, fire everywhere. The signal cut off mid-scream. No survivors were ever found. In Siberia, Shiratel's forces reported phantom movements in the snow. Patrols disappeared during blizzards. Her psionics reached for their thoughts, but found only silence and echoing laughter. Her assassins insisted humans were toying with them, leaving corpses displayed in grotesque warnings. Once, she found a Dominion soldier frozen upright, his hands clutching a sign in broken alien script, "Still here." HFY's beasts fed no better. Packs deployed into dense African forests returned mutilated or not at all. Humans had turned the wilderness into a weapon, poisons coating darts, pits filled with sharpened stakes, rivers dammed to drown hunting packs. One by one, his prized creations perished to traps devised by prey. The Beast Lord raged, but his fury could not bring them back. Kator, the Juggernaut, advanced into the mountains of Central Asia, determined to crush human holdouts in open battle. Instead, his heavily armored divisions found themselves crawling through canyons rigged with avalanches. Entire convoys were buried beneath rock and snow. When Kator himself led an assault, humans detonated charges beneath a dam. The flood swept his soldiers away, leaving only twisted armor and broken bodies downstream. Kator survived, but his silence afterward was heavier than any roar. What the Dominion did not understand was that humans had ceased fighting battles. They fought wars of disappearance. Every supply line was attacked. Every communication relay was sabotaged. At night, Dominion soldiers heard whispers in their own languages, taunts broadcast from hidden transmitters. They fired into shadows and struck nothing. Some went mad, shooting their comrades in paranoia. Worse still were the humans themselves. Reports described them fighting long after they should have fallen. One account told of a human soldier dragging himself with shattered legs, firing until his weapon melted. Another described a woman detonating grenades in her own arms to take an alien squad with her. To Kereth's sensibilities, such acts were madness. But to humans, it was sacrifice, an act of will no empire could extinguish. Whispers spread through Dominion ranks. Soldiers muttered that Earth was cursed, that humans were not mortals but death spirits clad in flesh. Commanders tried to crush such talk, but even champions could not deny the pattern. Every army sent deeper into Earth simply disappeared. General Varick called another meeting of the finest. His voice, once confident, now rasped with exhaustion. We are bleeding men faster than we can replace them. They strike, they vanish, and still we find no center to break. Shiratel's face was pale. Their minds are labyrinths. I cannot bend them. When I enter, they twist me into their chaos. They do not fear me. Some invite me in, laughing, as if daring me to drown. XYR slammed a clawed fist on the table. Then we unleash everything. Burn their forests. glass their cities. If they hide in the dirt, then scorch the dirt away. But Kator shook his massive head. His voice was gravel. I buried one today. A human boy, no more than 15. He bled from wounds that should have killed him. Yet he smiled as he shoved a blade into my soldier's throat. They are not prey. They are something else. Silence followed. For the first time, the champions did not argue. Meanwhile, Earth's nations, once fractured, bickering rivals, discovered unity. Soldiers from east and west fought shoulder to shoulder, trading weapons and tactics as easily as handshakes. Guerrilla groups communicated across continents with improvised networks, coordinating strikes that stunned even Varric's tactical genius. What humanity lacked in technology, it replaced with creativity, ferocity, and an unbreakable refusal to yield. By the third month, the phrase passed among Dominion crews like a curse: finest in, none out. Champions entered battlefields, but fewer and fewer returned. On the outskirts of New York, Varric received his final intact report from a frontline unit. The soldier's voice was frantic, gasping. They don't stop. They don't fear us. General, they hunt us. The transmission ended with static, followed by faint human laughter echoing through the channel. Varric turned away from the screen. For the first time in his long career, he did not know how to win. The Dominion had faced empires and crushed them. It had faced rebellions and drowned them in fire. But Earth was something different. Earth did not fight to win. Earth fought to make sure no invader ever left. The finest of the Dominion were unraveling. And still, the humans pressed on. The legend of humanity. Silence spread across the Dominion fleet like a contagion. At first, it was just missing patrols. Then, entire platoons failed to check in. By the fourth month, warships that descended into Earth's atmosphere never returned to orbit. The fleets lingered above the planet, vast and menacing, but hollowed of certainty. In the High Council chambers light years away, Lord Chancellor Vezir demanded updates. What he received were fragments, reports riddled with static, half-mad survivors mumbling of shadows and fire, commanders screaming before the line went dead. The mighty campaign, once a display of Dominion supremacy, had become a graveyard of silence. The few who survived Earth's crucible returned broken. One scout ship limped back, hull scorched, engines failing. Its sole occupant, eyes wide and bloodshot, refused food and water. He spoke only of nightmares. They don't fight to live, he whispered. They fight to make sure we die. I saw a woman stand in fire, laughing as she pulled me down with her. They don't care about death. They are death. The council tried to suppress his words, but the story spread faster than decree could silence it. Across the Dominion, soldiers began to murmur, Earth eats armies. Humans cannot be killed. Fear gnawed at discipline, and rebellions flared in the outer colonies. On Earth itself, the campaign's final phase was little more than slaughter. Human resistance had grown sharper, more coordinated. What began as scattered militias had transformed into a unified global defense. Former rivals shared supplies, commanders, and intelligence. Every nation put aside grudges. Humanity had become one species with a single cause: survival. General Varric, once the Dominion's most brilliant strategist, paced in the ruins of a New York command center. He had lost contact with 3/4 of his forces. His officers avoided his gaze, terrified not of his wrath but of the truth they all knew. There would be no victory. Shiratel, her psionic veil in tatters, sat silently nearby. Her mind, once an unshakable fortress, trembled from the chaos she had touched. They are not like us, she murmured. Every death is fuel. Every loss sharpens them. I tried to break one human mind, a child. He laughed at me, and when I pressed harder, he imagined my death so vividly that I felt it. Her eyes, once black pools of power, stayed hollow at the floor. HFY, the Beast Lord, had no beasts left. His great packs, the terror of dozens of worlds, lay as bones in jungles and deserts. His voice was cracked with disbelief. They hunt me, as if I were the prey. And Kator, the juggernaut, remained silent. His armor was scarred, his body battered. He had fought through ambush after ambush, and still the humans came, endless, tireless, willing to bury themselves beneath him just to drag him down. He had never feared death. Now, he feared humans. Varric raised his head at last. We came as conquerors. We will leave as shadows. The Dominion will not remember our glory. They will remember that we were broken hay. He was right. When the Dominion fleets finally retreated, they did so in fragments. Ships jumped to hyperspace without orders, crews mutinying to flee Earth's orbit. Champions who had once sworn eternal loyalty vanished, abandoning their posts. What was meant to be a demonstration of power became a rout. And then came the final insult. A transmission flooded Dominion channels across the galaxy. The image was grainy, the speaker ragged and blooded. A human soldier, helmet cracked, uniform scorched. His voice carried the weight of an entire species. You came to kill us. You came to break us. You sent your finest, and they fell. This is Earth. If you return, we will bury you again. None of you will leave. None of you will return. The message ended, but its echo lingered in every corner of Dominion space. In the years that followed, rebellion spread like wildfire. Species long cowed by KRF tyranny rose up, emboldened by the legend of humans. The Dominion, once unshakable, fractured under the weight of doubt and fear. Their name, once synonymous with domination, became a cautionary tale. In humanity, they did not see themselves as legends. They buried their dead, rebuilt their cities, and swore never to forget the cost. Yet in hushed tones across the stars, their reputation grew. No longer were they seen as frail upstarts. They were whispered of as Death Walders, creatures too stubborn, too reckless, too unyielding to conquer. Children of other species grew up hearing the warnings spoken in countless tongues. We sent our finest to defeat the humans. None returned. The galaxy would never forget.